Rich and Anthony and our guest back on the Education Fix. Etienne, how are you? Thanks for coming back.
Great to be back.
I think our first two-time guest in the Education Fix. So you're going to be in the Education Fix Hall of Fame, Etienne. So this is like so. So we had last week we had um, a really great conversation around the camera on, camera off piece as it related to students specifically. And Etienne, you may have been the one that brought this up either right before our podcast last time or offline when we were texting each other. But there's a piece to the teachers being on camera because there's vulnerability in that, right? They're on camera, they're in the homes of all the parents, they're getting judged in a very different way now. They're on stage in a very different way now.
Right.
So this week we really wanted to talk about that piece. But before we do that, we'd love for you to set up because we talk in the context of what's going on here in the United States. I know you're from Canada, so you are the
Yep.
official rep for Canada in this.
Of course.
No pressure whatsoever at the end. So what is it, before you get into the camera on, camera off and thoughts with teachers, and what is it like there? What are they doing as far as instruction for the schools? Just take us really briefly through that, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Yeah, what you'll find right across the country is a lot of it is based on districts. So school districts make their own decisions. So we do have schools that are trying full in-school models that rotate the students and have kind of half classes. We have some schools that are hybrid, some districts, sorry, that are hybrid, and they're mixing the in-school and the online component. And there's others where the most districts allow of course, the parents and the children to decide on which one they want to do there, and a lot of them have decided to do online. So there are some districts that are more heavy online, actually. So good
Right.
mix.
It seems like pretty similar here in the United States. I know you up there have it a little bit more under control than we do here, but we are all monitoring. Some schools are opening then closing, so it's very similar here. So as far as the teachers go, so you do have a good number that are teaching remotely, either
Yes.
fully or part time. And then Anthony and Rich, please chime in as well on this. Uh, what is your thought on teachers being on camera, teachers being synchronous, really in the home of a child or where parents are looking on? What's your view on that? And Anthony and Rich, I haven't really heard your views on this as well, so we could all share our views on this and contribute to the conversation.
Absolutely. Before, when we spoke about the student piece, allowing students to have the choice to be on or off, I thought was a really an important piece that we talked about. But when it comes to the teacher, it's almost imperative that the teacher shows face in some form or another. Now we have to talk about the comfort level of the teacher doing that. We have issues of course, even backgrounds and stuff like that. What do we do? Depends where the teachers are. Some teachers I know here in Canada are doing it from school, so the teachers have to be in school, so they're doing it from school. Others are actually allowed to be at home and doing it from home. So this opens up a whole new world again of learning technology and what tricks of the trade are available to us as teachers. So now all of a sudden we are television stars. So are we going to go live, or are we going to take advantage of some abilities to record? So record our lessons and then upload them and then just be there on the sideline in an active chat type of scenario. It's interesting. I'm seeing all different types of things from different colleagues, and I'm keeping an ear open and an eye open because they might be doing strategies that may be really advantageous for me and my students that I might want to try.
So let me just frame this out because you said a lot of really interesting things, and I want to hear from Rich and Anthony as well.
Mhm.
There's a couple of sort of thresholds that teachers need to get over. One is just being on camera, because even though teachers can be in front of the classroom, I've taught teachers for years now, and once they get on like a Zoom type of thing, they get very shy, reserved. They're like, "Wow, this is weird seeing myself." Then if you take that to them presenting on camera, that's another level, and it's a different level. And there's also that threshold of being comfortable enough with the technology. What's in their background, like you said? Are they comfortable with just using the technology and it's going to work for them? Is there going to be a glitch? Are they going to look foolish because they don't know what they're doing? Right? Those are things that I think you outlined that I want to hear more from all of you. But maybe Anthony, you want to start, and then we'll go to Rich.
Yeah, in listening to what you're saying at the end, and I think Rich would probably understand this more because we're both old guys. We used to criticize the profession of teaching that their teachers worked in a cave. Very little collaboration, very little thought about what went on next door to me, and even though they were on a stage, it was a very small stage in the classroom. And I think you use the right word there, Al. The online realm has put them on the big stage. It's not just in front of the students anymore. It's also in front of parents or whoever may be in the room at the time that they're teaching with their students or teaching to their students. I also think that it's put a lot of pressure on teachers to have to change their methods and modality of teaching. And I don't think and I have to say it's somewhat unfair in many ways. We always talk about the importance and significance of professional development. Well, I think what was happening and still happening is that we're building the plane while we're flying it. And teachers are trying to figure out, how do I best teach in this method, in this mode? And I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity, but at the same time, I think there's a tremendous amount of apprehension. And now throw in the whole reason behind the disruption, and that's COVID, and the whole concept and idea of safety in the classroom. So there's a lot of dynamics taking place here, and I have to say, there are some who see and understand the and sympathize with the teachers, and there are some, and this is usual because there's always a lot of criticism in our society of teachers, at least here in the United States, and that is, they need to do their job, they need to be teaching, they can't just be online, and I think there's a lot of misunderstanding amongst the community and the parents about and their needs to say, I can't be here while my kid's home, I got to work. So it's in this whole dynamic that this new way of teaching is placed upon teachers. And I think, I think they're doing the best they can. But the question is, where is it going to go from here?
And you often hear teachers now say, "This is not what I signed up for." Right? This is not what I thought teaching would be about. And it is. The empathy towards what teachers are going through is a really important piece. Rich, you want to chime in?
Yeah, thinking about the cross system intersections of things, and to keep it as simple as I can, I'm thinking along the same lines of what Anthony was saying about the different perspectives that come to play. They all have to be put into the pot to consider. And more than anything else, and just to piggyback off what Etienne and Anthony have offered up, is clearly there's opportunities for creativity, teacher instructional creativity. There has to be shoehorned with and somehow to varying levels of good technological support and professional development. And there's also the matter of the role of the organizational leadership. And I'll try to keep as brief as I can by saying I'd like to know even if it's just anecdotal, whether Etienne, whether you have an opinion about how well the leaders have enabled teachers to make this all happen, and for that matter, which is probably a little bit off topic, the extent to which teachers were prepared to do this from their either from their PD training or from their higher education training.
Okay, well, I'll address both of those things. First of all, I found that leadership, and in my district, has been fantastic because it's always been, what are you comfortable with? And they've always presented it that way. They go, you're the professional. Yes, you're in this situation, but you know your students, you know your subject area, you know your curriculum you have to cover. How best can you do that? We want you to determine that, and we're here to listen, and you let us know what kind of support you want to give. The PD part, well, that's a little difficult because the PD hasn't been quite developed. I mean, I'm doing it with my Rock Your Class book and the online courses and all the training and the support that I give as a COVID proof consultant for boards, but there's not a lot of us out there that have solutions or offering solutions in PD because it's just so brand new. So that part we're a little bit behind on, I'd say. But I'm seeing support from administration who are openly saying, I wasn't there during the Spanish flu, and we didn't have modern technology that we do now, so we weren't teaching online. So, you know, do what you can do. Here's some parameters we're going to give you. Here are the tools we're going to ask you to use, tools that we're going to ask you not to use for specific reasons, like collection of private information and different things like that. But go at it and keep open and share with each other.
Is there any pressure, Etienne, is there any pressure? I'd like to know if you have what's similar to the unions that we have here for the teachers, our teacher collective bargaining unions, those kind of things there. But is there just this kind of mutual agreement, hey, we have to get this done in this time, or does it ever turn into, hey, we're leadership, you got to do this, you don't have a choice about it? Sure.
You know what, I'm going to say it depends on the issue.
Yeah.
So the role of the union is, of course, to make sure that labor laws are being followed and safety of the union members, starting so the teachers and then the students whom we serve. So now, of course, there's the school districts have the same interests, of course, right? But I find that the unions that's about as far as it goes, to just keeping their eye on how things are going, but allowing administration to lead and going, we're ready to lend a hand if you need, type thing. And again, that's going to differ by area, but that's been my experience with the union.
You know, I go back to something Rich said before. As organizations, and this is more of a question, as organizations, how much have we emphasized the need for creativity and innovation in teaching and learning? And I think that and my answer, I don't know about your answer, but my answer would be not nearly enough. And I think that this online pandemic has forced teachers to be far more creative and innovative, those who can and those who have been encouraged. And I think that's one of those things I always think about. What should be lasting after this pandemic? And what should be lasting is we really begin to rethink teaching and learning to be more of a creative and innovative system and process, not one of accountability, not one of lockstep, not one of just standardized testing. Maybe that will be one of the long-term impacts of this. But you're right to say at the end, professional development, it's lagging behind, and that's nobody's fault at this point.
No.
But that's one of those cultural beliefs and values of that organizations. I would venture to say those that are more creative and innovative and encourage that probably doing a lot better than those who don't.
Yeah, I was going to follow that up, Anthony, and Rich, Etienne, chime in. Do you think that's the reason that we had so many teachers that were not prepared, both mentally, emotionally, versus as well as the actual skills, the tools they need? Do you think that cultural component of, hey, we don't really allow for creativity and innovation, or we don't encourage creativity and innovation in education, do you think that was the biggest inhibitor as far as more smoothly transitioning? I think a lot of teachers have done really well, but I also think a lot of teachers have defaulted to just teaching traditionally in an online environment too. So do you think that was an inhibitor and still remains an inhibitor for some? Is it the main inhibitor, if it is?
I'd like to speak to that quickly in a kind of an analogy kind of way. Several years ago, I put in a whole new literacy program in my school system, and one of my very best teachers grabbed me on the side one day and said, "Oh, Dr. B, this new program, it looks pretty good, but aren't you worried about how well we're going to do on the tests?" To come back to Anthony's word about accountability, and without even thinking, I said, and I'm kind of proud of what I said, without even thinking about what I said, was, you know what, good teaching brings good scores. And kind of shocked her because I don't think she was willing to, she had heard that in that school culturally. And so that, and we also can, all three of us, Etienne, know a superintendent who told his entire district that he didn't care what scores they got. You know? There's other issues to connect with all of that. But in the end, if we took the shackles off, or the perceived shackles, the organization, the leadership took the perceived cultural shackles off what the expectations are, to come back to Anthony's point, we'd have a right to expect some pretty cool risk taking and some pretty successful strategies that actually might infect other people to try some of those things as well.
Right. I agree. I think the creativity starts with the teacher. So I think you got to take advantage of every situation that you have, even if it's as simple as having a mask with a message, or what it is. So the creativity has to start with the teacher, and the school districts are saying we're giving you that leeway for creativity. But just like good healthcare, access to medication, access to the kind of things that you need to have good healthcare, teachers need access to good solutions and good PD and strong PD and proven PD actually.
And Etienne, I have to say that was the best use of a prop so far in any of our podcasts. I mean, that was pretty brilliant.
Ever the performer.
People think that we planned that, but there was no preemptive stuff with that whatsoever, right? I hate to end this conversation because it's a wonderful conversation. I'm going to ask you again, Etienne, maybe you come on next week too, because I feel like we could do this conversation for the next couple of weeks. So if you're up for it, you can tell me offline or whatever.
Sure.
So real quick.
I think we need to spend some time on Etienne's work.
Yes.
Because a lot of it speaks to this, as he was saying before.
Yeah, that's a great thought, Anthony. Yeah, that's a great thought, Etienne. So maybe if you're okay coming on next week, talk about some of the book. I know incorporates a lot of this, your book, as well as your actual practice and what you do, and how. Now you come from an innovative, creative mindset,
Right.
but I know you also help other teachers do this too. So I
Right.
think that'd be a great focus for next week to say, all right, how do we do this? How is it getting done right now? Really great thought, Anthony, on that.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure.
Awesome. Great. Quickly closing thoughts from Rich, Anthony, and then Etienne, and we'll see everybody next week after that. Rich?
I'm thankful for getting to know Etienne, and I'm looking forward to what he can share with us next week.
Yes, ditto.
Awesome. Great. Etienne, any closing thoughts?
Yeah, no, looking forward to it. Don't forget the show's called The Education Fix. So
Exactly.
let's keep working. Fix means it's an active thing. It's an action.
That's exactly
ongoing.
right. That's exactly
Exactly what we're going to do. We'll start next week.
That's excellent. Thanks so much.